This is a story that I've never shared with anyone. And to be honest, I'm scared shitless to tell it. All I ask is for you to please be understanding. I know what I did was stupid and dangerous, and I could have gotten myself killed. I get it. I didn't die, but I think something even worse might have happened. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that the internet can be a profoundly creepy and fucked up place. But when I was growing up, it was still a relatively novel experience. My mum discovered that if she handed me her shiny new iPad, I would immediately stop blabbering about whatever grade 3 drama was going on in my head, and instead would sit silently, perfectly entertained, for hours and hours on end. I was probably one of the first iPad kids, something I feel pretty gross about looking back. After a few months of mainlining every YouTube video I could find, I decided I was going to make my own channel in the hopes of becoming one of the proto-YouTube stars that had just started being a thing. As you can probably imagine, my content was shit. I recorded dozens and dozens of short movies with my stuffed animals and plastic horses, making up stories and doing all of their voices, filming with the iPad's built-in camera in glorious 720p. Think barely comprehensible storylines delivered by a girl who very clearly needed a speech therapist. Most of my videos had exactly 1 view on them, or 2 if I showed my mum. Thinking back on it, I don't think she realized I was actually sharing stuff publicly on the internet, because she never responded with anything more than mild amusement. One of my favorite toys was my Cheer Bear Stuffy. It's the pink Care Bear you've probably seen if you've ever watched the cartoons. Her whole personality is being cheerful. So, naturally I'd cast her as the tortured hero who was orphaned, or kidnapped, or left for dead, or whatever wildly dramatic situation my weird little brain could dream up. I started to notice that the videos that I made with Cheer Bear were getting more views than the others. Nothing crazy, but like 5 or 6. Huge numbers to me. I'd tirelessly been putting out these 1-view epics for the better part of the school year, so I was really happy to see other people might be watching. Then, one night, everything changed. I got my very first subscriber. The user was named CheerBear2007 and had a cute pink hand-drawn bear as the icon. She liked a lot of my videos, and even added them to her own playlist, Cheer Bear Adventures, which seemed like a collection of videos made by other kids around my age. She'd leave these cute little comments for me, mostly just silly stuff. Her saying that she remembered when the stuff in the video happened to her, and how I was so good at making movies. It sounds pathetic, but reading all the stuff she was saying felt like the first ray of sun I'd felt on my skin for months. When I talked to my mum about anything I cared about, she was nice enough, but even as a kid, I could feel that her attention really wasn't mine. She was perfectly happy to stick me in front of a screen and live her own life. She'd talked to me before about why it was so important to learn to be self-sufficient, and I guess that included being able to make new friends, especially one who seemed just as excited about the things that made me excited. I started writing to Cheer Bear daily, exchanging messages in the comment section of my videos. At first, she suggested some new story ideas, then asked me about what other cartoons I like, if I had any siblings. Pretty normal stuff. I mentioned at some point that it was getting cold where I lived, and she wanted to know where that was. I told her the name of the city that I lived in, and wouldn't you know, she lived nearby. Less than an hour, in fact. And knowing that, she wondered, would I be interested in having my very own private meet and greet with the real Cheer Bear? I know. Again, I ask for your understanding. I was almost 9 then, and my mum had recently started letting me try out a limited test run as a latchkey kid. I was allowed to walk home after school, let myself in, make myself a snack. She made it very clear I wasn't allowed to use knives or turn on the oven, and keep myself entertained until she made it home from the office. I wish I could say that I had gone to my mum and told her about the cool new friend I'd made, and that she wanted to visit me in real life. Instead, I carefully wrote my address into the comments of my video, and added that my mum usually didn't get home until 5. Have you ever noticed that nervousness and excitement are kind of the same feeling? The day Cheer Bear was supposed to visit me, I was barely able to sit still at my desk at school. I was so proud, like I had a secret that the other kids weren't worthy of knowing. I could barely wait until the bell rang. I ran the 5 blocks home and let myself in. Barely a minute later, I heard a knock at the door. I want to assure you that nothing overtly bad happened to me that day, and I mean it, as bizarre as that sounds. I opened the door, and there she was. Cheer Bear, her pink fluffy shape so big she had to turn sideways to fit through the door. She brought 2 things with her, a boom box tucked under one arm, and a stuffed brown bear under the other. The second she came inside, I couldn't stop talking, asking her questions, telling her how happy I was to see her. She guided me towards the center of the room, motioning for me to stay there. I watched her, my entire body shaking with excitement. She placed the teddy on the shelf in front of us, and the stereo on the ground. For the briefest moment, she turned her back to me, and I saw her pulling off her gloves so she could click the play button. I remember thinking that it was strange, the amount of hair she had on her arms. The music began to play. I remember overhearing a kid in my class bragging about how she met Mickey at Disneyland when she went that past summer. It was just a few moments with him, a quick wave, but she'd been riding that high for weeks after. What happened with Cheer Bear was a lot more than that. The CD started with the theme song for the Care Bear cartoon, and she started to dance. She had motion for every lyric, spinning and gesturing with her arms. As the end of the song faded, she pulled me into a tight embrace. A second later, a new song began, something else from the cartoon, and she started a new round of choreography to the next track. It became a loop. A new song, a hug. A new song, a hug. Over and over and over. She moved around the room faster, the energy behind her gestures almost manic. I remember dancing with her, trying to follow her speed, breathlessly falling into her arms during each hug. She was bigger than me, bigger than Mum even, with soft fur that smelled like wet earth. After what felt like ages, the last notes of the song faded out, and the music finally stopped. Cheer Bear took both my hands in her own, and for a moment we stood there, looking into each other's eyes. Although she hadn't said a single word since she arrived, I could hear the muffled sounds inside the suit, pants of exertion. She then guided me to face towards the little teddy on the shelf, and together we bowed deeply. The visit was over. She sat me down on the couch, gathered her stereo and teddy bear, and lit herself out the front door, fitting through the frame with only a little difficulty. As soon as she closed the door, I ran to the window to see her, but she was already gone. Mum didn't believe me, and I don't blame her. It sounds insane, even just to say it now. A life-sized version of my favorite stuffed animal showed up, danced with me for an afternoon, and left. At least I had enough sense not to brag about it at school. Even then I knew how unbelievable it was. Something about that day changed me though. I felt like I'd been blessed somehow, chosen for greatness, like the characters in the videos I made. It was as if overnight I had developed a sense of confidence I'd never had before. I begged my mum to sign me up for dance lessons, thinking maybe I could be even better if Cheer Bear ever came back. I stopped hiding in the bathroom stall during lunch and tried talking to other kids in my class. I was never popular, but I did find some other weirdos at school who were as excited about the same stuff I was, and we started chatting endlessly on MSN Messenger after class. I slowly stopped making videos on my YouTube channel. For the first time in my life, I had friends to spend time with. I wasn't lonely anymore. By the time the holidays rolled around, the time I'd spent with Cheer Bear seemed more like a dream than reality. I'm sure I would have convinced myself it didn't happen, if not for something that happened the week before Christmas. I just walked home from school when I saw something shiny and pink on the front step. A wrapped present, addressed to me. I opened it, and to my absolute delight, I found a little teddy bear, exactly like the one Cheer Bear had brought with her when we met. Up until tonight, that was the end of my story. This year I started my first year of college, and I'm living in the dorms. Tonight, I was spending an uneventful Saturday night alone, studying for finals, when an email popped up in my inbox. Unknown sender. The message was brief. Is this you? I might be just as stupid as I was when I was a kid, because I clicked the link. It took me to an unlisted YouTube video, 30 minutes long. It started with a black screen. I pushed play. The Care Bear theme song came on first. Care Bear's countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. I felt my breath catch in my chest. The song ended, and on screen, I saw myself as a child, falling into the arms of a stranger, dressed as Cheer Bear. I watched the entire video. The quality was terrible, almost a fisheye lens, and as Cheer Bear became to dance more erratically, she would frequently step out of frame. But I was there on screen the whole time, looking awkward and clumsy and shy as I tried to dance along. There were some things I saw in that video I don't remember at all. For one, the fur was sort of matted, and in different areas of the suit, a large dark patch under the arms and right under the neck where the head connected. The size was also alarming. Whoever was in that suit must have been over 6 feet tall. The costume almost seems too small, and at times I could see a gap of skin between where the gloves and sleeves connected. And finally, in the last moment when Cheer Bear knelt over to pick up the camera, I swear I could see a glint of human eyes through the mesh, wide and white, with a pinprick pupil. It's been 3 hours since I received that email, and I honestly don't know what to do. And there's something I can't stop thinking about. Cheer Bear never had a camera with her when she came into my house. She only had that little brown teddy. The same teddy I got for Christmas that year. The same teddy I'd kept in my bedroom every day after. The same teddy that's currently sitting on my nightstand in my dorm. I'm honestly not sure if I should email this person back, or what will happen if I do. Yes, I'm in that video. But who the fuck is in it with me?
Hello, Sinister listeners. If you've enjoyed this story, then you'll find all the author's information in the description below. For more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to succumb to the sinister.